Welcome to Crossing Darkness, podcast about role-playing games ranging from tabletop RPGs like the World of Darkness to MMORPGs like EVE Online and everything in between. We broadcast live over Twitch and are open to answering questions during the show. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout, and today we have a special guest, Isaac Collins, who is a member of the Rancer Customs Office and is running for the Council of Stellar Management in EVE Online. How's space treating you these days, Isaac?
It's a mix of good or bad. I can't complain these days, man. I'm having a good time. I'm always having a good time when I'm playing EVE.
Yeah, I see that you definitely keep yourself occupied with keeping low-sec clean of neutrals or enemies or anybody that comes your path, it seems.
Man, I'm a very active player. I'm a very active player at night, and I'm sure I have lots of people who would love to not want to talk about it, I suppose. But as somebody's got to keep low-sec dangerous, and we get our fair share of hits. Don't worry. I mean, I just lost an Onyx the other day. Like, we lost an Onyx, a Devoter, and an Executor in a minor skirmish between a random person that we never met before. So I promise you, we get our fair share of licks.
Awesome. Well, how long have you been playing EVE Online?
So roughly, like, contiguously total, like 3 years. But I've been playing on and off since 2013. I played during the test Fountain War, and when I first played this game, I thought it was kind of dumb. I was like, wow, right-click orbit. This is such engaging gameplay, to my buddy. Like, real great suggestion, Tom. And then it wasn't until I started hauling stuff, and I see people scanning my cargo. I was like, what the fuck is this? I thought these were NPCs. Why am I being targeted right now? And he's telling me how that works, and I go into low sec and I get blown up. And I was like, what? Like, I had a heart attack. I could, like, still, I have that big chest thump all the time. I still get it. I still get that high. I'm very lucky in that regard. And I remember just feeling like, oh, this is unique. I remember just like being in love with it, and was like, we should be doing this. Why aren't we doing this? So we move out to Solitude, and we start camping the exit from Syndicate to get these Test guys. And sure enough, Test was in the move because they just got kicked out or something like that, or Goons got kicked out. I forget who got kicked out, but someone got kicked out and Test had to move. And so we're getting all these fleets just all the time. We're just constant, like, because they're scattering everywhere. So it was a good time. It was a good time. And the only reason I quit was because my buddy quit. And then I come back in 2018, and I tried to go to nullsec. I did. I tried to do. I joined Pandemic Horde for 2 months. You can see my employment history. I did a lot of like data sites, relic sites. I really enjoyed that part of the game. I have a very empathetic feeling for PvE content in the game. I can see the cycle and how people can get like a lot of pleasure out of it. Mm-hmm. But what I didn't enjoy was when we tried to do fleets. You go out there, right? We formed up for an hour, so everyone's forming up for an hour, and this is before they upped the warp speed, so now things are a little bit better, but it's still pretty horrible. We form up for an hour, and now every system is Sinojam, so we're jumping 26 jumps with fucking carriers and dreadnoughts. Everybody has to come and warp with these giant ships that we're carrying over to this X-42 system, and it takes us an hour to get there, and then we get there, and I'm sitting in my little Griffin by myself like a fucking idiot, and we wait there for an hour, and Goons doesn't come because they didn't know how Sinojammers worked, and we spend another hour and a half trying to get all these ships back home. And I was like, okay, well, that was 4 hours of my Sunday that I just completely wasted. I'm done. I quit. The next day, I quit. And as I'm moving my stuff, I get blown up by a guy in Rancer. And I was like, well, hello, okay. He's got cargo cans all over the gate. I'm wondering what the hell this is. And I talk with him, and I'm like, hey, are you guys recruiting? What's going on? And sure enough, they're recruiting. So I joined them, and eventually we get kicked out because Rancer is prime real estate. And anyone that has ever lived in Rancer knows that you got to defend it with a lot of guys. You need a coalition. It's not one alliance. It's a gang of people. You can't own that place by yourself. So we get kicked out, and I form my own corp called Smart Bomb Syndicate, and we go camping all over. camped in Uli, Abenal. We camped over in Yavanger and Aboon. We made some enemies at Seven Sins over there. We move all the way down to this random Molden Heath area where I lost a bunch of ships. And then finally, we get an inn to this Russian alliance called Coastal Brotherhood. And to this day, those guys are still my friends. I still enjoy a lot of their time. I wish I could play with them, but they're full over there, and we've moved on to bigger things, unfortunately.
Yeah, Russians are such a
they're very
group,
funny, man. Like... you get like 6 of the Russian guys on your team, and they're very straight to the point about a lot of stuff. It's very funny. It's a good experience. That's one of the best things about EVE, is all the uniqueness and like the people you meet. You're constantly surrounded by like one random like Chinese, one random Russian, one Turkish guy, and they're all like flying around like fucking idiots trying to coordinate together. So it's a good time in those segments. I love it. So we lived there for about 6 months, and then a couple of our core guys tapered off, and so I take a 2-year break. I come back, I see these Sino changes. I loved it. One of the biggest things I hated about the game was one time I had snuffed. They dropped 3 Titans on me on my solo gate camp with my Onyx. 3 Titans, and I remember thinking like, what is going on? Like, what did I do to you? Like, I don't understand. I didn't kill anything in the past hour. I've just been sitting here by myself. Like, what could I have possibly done to make you so mad? And so I just remember being so like annoyed with that kind of stuff. And it was really nice to see they changed all of it. But gate camping is not safe, but gate camping is content. A lot of the time, if you've ever gotten the fun victory of killing a gate camper, you know that our fits are often abyssal, often faction, often very much on the higher end of things, because we have to be that way or to have some kind of advantage. You'll notice very quickly it's a group of independent, not coordinated people. So, you know, we often take a lot of licks. You can easily bait us. You can easily bait us with some hauler that's a 1-month-old hauler that you just purposely killed with NPCs a couple times.
I've been baited
often
on
I don't even
hauler
check the name of the character until I don't check the name of the character until after I've killed them. When I see it's like a crap fit, I go, oh crap, is this guy a new player? So I go and I'll start a conversation with them, send them like double the money of whatever we killed or something like that. But if it's not a new player, it's like I don't think to check while I'm in the moment. I've got 2 eyes. I see a hauler coming through. I'm like, oh, go, let's go. And sure enough, he's holding my Onyx in place, and Bomber's Bar is dropping 1 billion freaking guys on me, and I'm eating teeth. I'm just chewing on glass for the next hour, just licking my wounds. So it was very common. Another way I've gotten donged on was we had this group of wormholers. I mean, these guys are they're sick. They're so freaking good, man. They're like manually piloting their ships. So we have this guy on the gate. He's got two execs on his like frigate Garmer or something like that to catch stuff on the gate and long point him. And he gets baited by some frigate, and all of a sudden this frigate brings 2 or 3 other frigates, and all of a sudden we've got a Sleipnir over here that's just popping us, just popping Serbs, popping freaking Brutics, and all this other crap just left and right. And so one of our idea guys is like, oh, I'm gonna hard warp my carrier to the gate. So now we gotta help this guy get his stupid freaking carrier off the gate, because he's over there panicking, having like an asthma attack because he warped in his carrier. So these 4 guys are over there like blasting away our stuff left and right. We're all bringing out these scorpions, trying to ECM them, losing them left and right. I mean, it's a shit show. We're complacent and uncoordinated. It's not hard to hit us in the nose. And then if you want to get around us, there's a million different ways to get around a gate camp, man. There's wormholes, there's filaments, there's lots of stuff. But gate camps, I think, are an integral part of content, just as much as PvE players, just as much as fleet players. If you want to get a random brawl, the only place you're going to get it is from a gate camp. And if you want to get a real good brawl, match our numbers. If you want us to take the fight, come to us. You see 8 people on the gate, tell like 6 of your guys out of your 14, hey, hold back, let us get in there and fight. Let's see if they take us. And then if we get a good fight, let's get a good fight. Otherwise, if you come in with overwhelming force, yeah, we're gonna scatter like cockroaches, because we can't take 40 people when we're 3 dudes, multi-box, some decent odds. We'll give it a go. We will give it a go, and it's the only place you're gonna get it. So a big part of my platform is encouraging more conflicts for these kinds of things. So like having more areas like Vicamia, where the fast route is the low sec route, and the long route is the safe route. So if you want to be that high risk, high optimized time player with your hauling or your mining or your ship scouting, you go through low sec because you think you can do it. But if you're not that high top player and you just kind of want to be safe, you go around, you take the high sec route. You don't mess around with us. You don't need to. That's what I think non-faction low sec war should be. Because faction warfare is its own beast. I'm not equipped to answer the solutions for that area, but I know the current state of low sec is disgusting and untenable, especially non-faction warfare low sec. Like faction warfare low sec at least gets traffic. You can look at some of the systems in low sec, just general. There's just some systems get 67 jumps a day. I mean, they might as well not be there. And you know, there's a lot of things that I would love to see into this game. Like, I'd love to see like sec status being relevant on ships, Navy ships giving you bonuses for high sec status, and pirate ships giving you bonuses for negative sec status. But the coding's already in the game for the Enforcer and Marshal, so it's easily something they could do. They've been talking about wanting to do a Navy rework, a rehaul. I would love to see brawling ships have, if you've got like max high fit for like max brawling fit, like weapons, I would love to see those ships either get increased move speeds or increase health or increase resistances, because these are the ships that a Ferox that has blasters and a Ferox that has railguns has the exact same EHP and speed.
Right.
That shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't be able to shoot from 150 kilometers away and have the same EHP as someone that has to be 10 kilometers away. Like you're up front and close. It's supposed to be like there should be some interesting play here. You're gonna be webbed, scram, this, that. There should be something. You should have to do like a 1.5 times the damage, or maybe more, or be able to take like double the damage that you can currently take. I think that would make the choice between brawling and kiting more interesting. I think people would really be considering the differences. And I don't think like this is a change that like easily could be coded, and is something that everybody, I think, would like, not just low sec guys. Like, I think everyone in null sec would love this. No one likes being just in Munins for the rest of their life, or in Serbs trying to alpha stuff for the rest of their life. So I have a lot of suggestions like that. I have a lot of suggestions like fixing the corp finder. It's that the 3 top things that keep a player in the game is 1, dying within the first 30 days, 2, finding a corp, 3, finding a corp that has about 95 or lower members, because once you go above that, there's a steep drop-off in player retention. It's because people feel like a number in their corp. You never want to feel like just a random number. You want to feel like your actions have influence. That's the whole game like style, your reputation. You want to build up some kind of rapport with your friends and be known to be that guy that does this. That's all what we're here for, I think. So like, I think they should rehaul the not rehaul, but like add some more options to Corp Finder, so that you make it so that you have to list your most active 8 hours to 10 hours of day. You make it so that you have to pick your primary focus, PvP or PvE. You can't pick both. And the reason I say that is because I play at 0500 hours to 0900 hours, or sometimes 1100 hours, and I need a corp that's in those time zones. I can't play with people that are outside of that. There shouldn't be a bunch of dead corps that have been renewing their adverts for like a year, and a bunch of corps that don't even play at my time zone that I'm able to see in my exclusive like time zone facility. I should be able to choose and find a corp in game easily without having to use other tools outside of the game. I should easily be able to find it in game because I'm a new player. I'm not going to think to check Eve jobs or this or that. I should be able to easily find it in game and find a corp, and that's the best thing we can do to get new players to stay in this game, which I think everybody that we know would want. So I'm a big part of these kinds of solutions. I have all my solutions for anything, suggestions for these things. And I'm not a dev. I would be just suggesting ideas like for these problems that they have, and whatnot. But like, these are the kinds of things that you can easily change within a fortnight. This isn't requiring mega coding, like changing some of the trajectory systems, changing the sec status of some of these systems. I would love to see crazy shit too. I would love to see a high sec island in the middle of fucking the drone regions, right? I would love to see something interesting, like a couple of like unique areas where it's like, whoa, what's going on over there? I wonder how many people over there. What can they do over there? What's special over there? It's like people cry about no NPC space in like certain areas. And what if Edencom took over a few systems, like a surrounded bastion over there that like makes sense in the lore of games? So like, I would love to see some interesting things happening in the game, and I'm sure the devs would love to do something very interesting and unique they've already hinted at ideas like this before in the past.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of interesting venues to be taken.
Yeah,
I would love to see it.
It seems like there's a lot to grow for EVE right now. It's like, you know, what are we, 18 years, is it? Or is it 20 years? What is the, no.
It's almost 20. I think it's 18 right now.
Yeah, it's like,
I think the birthday we just celebrated.
Yep. So, I mean, there's so much, but there's so much more for EVE to grow, and I do love the concept. So one of the big things is that you're running for the Council of Stellar Management. So can you tell us a little bit about what the Council of Stellar Management is, what that kind of concept is? Because from my understanding, it's a very unique thing to EVE Online. And what is your kind of point of view on what this player body is?
So I have a very similar view to Brisk Rubel. And shout out to Brisk. I mean, I think he is the best and most, like, the gold standard of what a CSM member should be. Yeah, he's a part of Goons, the community, a great service. I think having the rapport with people, speaking on other people's behalves, I think that's what you do as a CSM. You're speaking from your perspective, which if you have an expertise, which I have an expertise in being a low sec shitlord, basically. That's where I would benefit the most and be able to help them the most. But I also have expertise in, like, experiencing pain points in this game, and the things that I don't have expertise on, I would be seeking people's advice. I would be letting the other people, like, I'm not going to be suggesting stuff on the indie side. When they come to me for any changes, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to see if anybody on the CSM has a good idea about the indie stuff, because I don't want to be responsible for bringing bad things into the game or making bad changes to the game. I think in a perfect world, what I would suggest to CCP is to change the way they do the election, so that you have candidates that run for certain roles that you want filled in this CSM. Because I think you deserve, the community deserves a high sec candidate, they deserve a wormhole candidate, they deserve a low sec candidate, they deserve a faction warfare candidate. I think there should be competing people within those roles that are all voted on independently of each other. And then have, 10 or 12 members or whatever in the CSM, because I think the CSM's role is to give CCP the perspective and suggestions for new changes they're bringing into the game and the reforms to the game that they're wanting to do. So, for instance, like, they've been talking nonstop about the Navy rework that they've been wanting to do. It's like second on their list. What I would do if they would ask me, I would say you should make all Navy ships either be off of sec status standings or faction standings, right? Mm-hmm. So make it so that, like, if you got a basic role, but if you've got these standings, you get double the role bonus or something like that. Something that really makes you feel strong and gives you a big, like, identity between the faction that you've invested the most time in. And the reverse for pirates. I think, like, oh well, the Dramiel normally has a 33% increase in a line and warp speed, but if you're a -10 pirate or a -5 pirate, you get a double bonus or something like that, or a 1.5 bonus. And now you're zinging around, and people, when they enter pirate space, they're like, oh shit, we got to watch out for these guys that can move fast and track us or something like that, or hunt us or out warp us and stuff like that. I think these would be the really interesting things, and I think they would breed conflict just inherently. Like, who wouldn't want to bring a faction, like, warfare, like, clique of Navy ships to come and try and hunt the pirates? I would love to see some basic reforms to the bounty system. I think the bounty system gets a lot of crap, but I think it's actually one of the better ideas they've come up with for the gameplay solutions we have. I think the best thing they could do is make it so that it has a top 10 leaderboard that is based off of active play. So if that person on the number 1 spot, number like 1 through 10 spot, hasn't killed a ship in the past 7 days or 3 days or something, take them off and put whoever's next.
Oh, that's interesting.
You can hunt these people. You can totally hunt the pirates. You can totally hunt the bounties. But the only way you can do that is if the top 10 are actually relevant, active people. They used to have, like, this top 10 leaderboard, and you can look through, and it was really cool. But it was useless because everybody that was on the top 10 was not playing the game anymore. Give me the active. I want to find the bad guy of the week. I want to find the bad guy of this past few days. I'll hunt him. I'll kill him. And I remember, like, I remember the moment I thought the bounty system was actually pretty good, because I was smart bombing, and this guy that had just, like, got his ship blown up thought he was going to get away from us, and I go and I pop his pod, and all of a sudden I got 300 mil. I'm like, whoa, what just happened here? This was awesome. Like, this is great. And I checked, and sure enough, he had a bounty. So it's like, oh well, that bounty actually paid off. He just lost his implants. That had to hurt. So it's like, it's a really fun experience. You'll end up. I think it would add more conflict. Another thing I think would add more conflict is I think wormholes should have a lower base like probe rate, so that if you have like just a couple probes touching one, I think it should instantly pull up. I want more people coming through wormhole space, and I want more wormholers coming to low sec and high sec and null sec. I want more conflict. I want people that get out and attack people. I want and I think things that make that easier and remove those barriers are better for the game. So like, these are just minimal suggestions that you can easily do. We already have the coding for it. They already have a lot of the stuff needed for this, and they could get stuff like this done within a fortnight. If they ask for any suggestions on these kinds of things, that's what I would be doing. It'd be like, Navy rehaul, let's suggest this. That's just what I think you should do. But you know, whatever you're gonna do now, it's like whatever they bring new stuff, where they often bring new stuff, and you kind of just get to give your input. An instance with that would be like the cloaky changes that they're talking about making. I think I would be very vocal about the point, like, I don't want cloaky hauling to be like stopped. I don't want the ability of haulers to use an MWD and cloak to try and get away from us taken away, because I think that's actually one of the best like gameplay things you've given to haulers. I don't think it's fair to take that away from them.
I love that
and there's
MWD
counterplay to
trick.
that.
And I love it when a gate camp is like, "You're cheating." I'm like, go ahead, report me to CCP.
No,
go ahead,
no,
I love it. I love it.
It's Garbo. No, in fact, it's the vice versa. If you can't get them, what you need is a guy in a frigate.
Right,
you
run
get another
into
player. Yeah, get him over there. Get him in slave, or the faction slaves, or whatever. I forget what that is. The implants that move speed, right?
Right.
Get him in the fucking implant speed boost. Get him over there and get him to hit him. If he can't do it, then you guys aren't worthy of killing him. He's better than you in that capacity. So it's more things that breed more roles, and I think those are always good. One thing I'm not a big fan of is the current like capital meta. I think people talk about like passive moon mining and stuff like that a lot, and I think that's like one of those pipe dreams that's just not here to come. Because one, if we say we got that, right? Say tomorrow they bring back passive moon mining, what's it going to look like? It's going to look like Snuffed brings in super capitals and takes every R64 moon that exists. And if you dare to touch these R64 moons, we will evict you out of your space, and we'll put in some new guys in your space. And you can see this all over the place. Look how many random crappy, no existence, low sec systems exist with like 10 jumps in it, right? And all you see is a citadel from Siege Green, a citadel from Goons, a citadel from Test, a citadel from this guy, that guy, this guy. Why? Because they get to take their jump freighters here as an interpoint. They get to take their caps here as an interpoint. They just use it, and if you dare touch these things, we'll crush you out of existence. I don't like that these blocks have this influence over low security space. I think low sec should be for pirates and for faction warfare, and everybody else that's wanting to come in is coming in for chances of prosperity. I would love to see a solution for the income problem being like increasing the level of difficulty by the dynamic bounty system. So like if you got 150% in this little random system that's got very little people, now it's got hubs that are spawning. And if you're at like 190 or 180%, it's got havens that are spawning. And now you've got some people that are willing to risk their neck. I also think it should increase the difficulty of the data and the relic and the gas sites that are in there, because now you're going to have a lot more people out there willing to put their neck on the line for income. Even if they're just high security space.
I was always baffled me that like 0.0 was considered the place where all the money was supposed to go, because low sec was supposed to be less, or it was more secure because of the pirate system. But it never turned out that way. I mean, in all this time, they tried to treat it like a stepping stone. Right. But all this time they've seen this, and they've seen that low sec is the hardest place to exist. It's tough because you can't control it. You can't stop people from docking in the NPC stations. The NPC stations are everywhere, and it's usually pretty close to high sec, to this area where you can still get access to a lot of your stuff. Low sec became the most hardest place to exist because getting into it is even more camp than getting into 0.0 for sure.
Depending on the location. Some of it's just abandoned. I mean, some of it is just actually abandoned. It's grotesque.
Yes, and then other areas of it are completely and utterly unused. Where I always loved the idea.
It's actually all abandoned, almost all, like less than 200 jumps. It's insane. But go on, I'm sorry.
But no, yeah, it's something that I think LoSec needs to be the place where a ton of money and riches are, and places, and be a place that nobody can really hold. Pirates reign supreme. If you got that -5.1 or whatever, when yours start flashy, that's got to mean something in LoSec.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to high sec, of course you should still get blown up. And if you go to 0.0, you shouldn't have those cool benefits. No, I agree.
But you should get it. I've really thought a lot about. That's something that I think, like, there has to be something for that, because you can't just have it so the gate guns always hit me, even when the nullsec guy that's killing probably more pods than me. Let's be realistic about this. He's probably blowing up more ships and killing way more pods than I'm ever killing, but he's doing it in nullsec space, so it's okay. He's got a 5.0 sec status, gets to do all this other crap, gets to be rich, and then when he comes through my gate, if I hit him, I'm the bad guy. Okay, that's fine, but I better be getting like some kind of benefit. And then, like, if I go into high sec, I've got, like, I have to be in a sub 2-second ship where I could easily be pointed. And I'm not even opposed to that part. Like, you can give the Navy faction ships faster scan res, and like, oh, you want the low sec pirates, if they come into high sec, I want these Navy faction ships to be able to point them like that. I get that. That's you can make it like themed, you can make it more fun, you can make it more interesting in that regard. So I think there's a lot of stuff that, like, there's no identity pride in, like, piracy right now besides just being concorded. Like, ha, you jumped into high sec as a criminal concord. Like, that's the only identity of a pirate. Or like gate guns, lol, like getting bomber's bar to point you while you're on the gate by yourself and in a manticore and suffer no repercussions, and I'm gonna Steino on a manticore and you just get dunked. Like, this is common, very common as a pirate. We're the easiest targets for content. And we're an integral part of content, and I think the more of us there are, the more random fights can occur in low sec, and the more random, like, groups can come over and attack us. I think it's a really integral part that's been ignored for a while, and I think a lot of small fixes could add a lot to this region and to this play style of the game that's been really ignored over these years.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think some of CCP seems to be starting to move in that direction, and Battle Troll, points out to, agreeing that LoSec is one of the most difficult places to live. He's lived there in Lone Trek for 7 years. I've lived in the Black Rise region pretty much ever since Faction Warfare came out.
I used to camp right in Uli over there. I used to in 2018. I was camping in Uli and Avenal. Oh yeah,
Uli and Avenal. Yep, absolutely. I did parts in Obalu, and Hain was one of the weirdest.
Ooh, I love that little spot. that spot's got Obalu and parts. Yeah, it's such a cute little spot. It's a great system.
It's like it's like low sec, high sec, low sec.
Yeah, low sec, high sec.
It's like, what is this?
It's a cute,
two little high sec spots, and
yeah.
Yep, we lived in Hain a lot.
I want more stuff like that, like little travel routes. I want more of those.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Little high sec havens for people to kind of go into and run, grab a mission and jump out into low sec real quick, nab up that mission, get the better rewards. Really bump up those rewards. I really feel like if you're coming into low sec, do a mission, like, it's not.
It should pay out a lot.
It should pay out double or more. I feel is like where my base minimum goes. It's like that should be double.
I agree, and I think that should happen for nullsec too. Like all the ore site missions and Thucker missions, the level 5s, they're all in nullsec. You can't do it unless you're in nullsec. In fact, I think the slaves, the amulets or whatever, the armor implants, I don't know if they're still controlled, but there used to be like a coalition of guys that controlled the mission hubs for that place. And I think no one's tried to fight them on it because they probably don't see the benefits of trying to live out in such risky space. But if the payout was like double the loyalty points, then these guys would be making money hand over fist, and then people might be willing to come over there and kick that racket out of their hand.
Yep, no, and it's one of those interesting things that I think some of the things that make 0.0 seem more dangerous actually makes it more safe once you've settled it. Things like bubbles.
Yeah.
Bubbles are that makes it super
gate.
dangerous, but then all of a sudden when you use that as a defensive mechanism, if you start using that in the concept that you live and own this space, then yeah, that makes it actually
you set up
easier to
bubbles in the middle of your little spot before you're doing your PvE site, and all of a sudden it's actually the best thing in the world. It's like the best defensive tool you could ever make.
Yep. Yeah, so and that's why I think that low sec is the most dangerous. You can't control it. You can't stop people from getting in. They're gonna get into your system regardless of whether you want them in there or not. No matter how good of a system that you kind of set up, there are ways to get a lot of people when you're gate camping, but if 20 people jump through the gate, it's going to be really hard to stop 20 people from getting into the system. Or at least 18 of them or 14 of them. Like, it's going to be hard to catch them all. And especially if they got cloaks, if they're set up, they know what they're doing. You know, all of those things kind of stack up on top of each other. Whereas in 0.0, it's very possible to catch a big giant fleet that jumps into the system. Even if they're all cloaky, you just bubble the hell out of them.
Yeah, and just put a canister right in the middle of it, and you're done. Everybody gets decloaked. Everyone's decloaked.
So yeah,
it's incredible, man.
So, what are some of the like crazy stories living out of Rancid? So, so you've been living out of Rancid for a while now. Do you have anything that's like kind of crazy that's kind of happening?
I got plenty of stories. I got lots of stories. I'll share some with you. So my favorite is the bots. I mean, we get some guys that we just smart bomb 10 times in a row. They don't care. We get some people. I don't know. Does anybody else experience this? We get like these guys that are they have to be NPCs. They come over and they loot these like 56,000 ISK worth of crap modules off of our wrecks over there, and they're just like garbage feeding these crappy crap modules, and they're sitting on the gate like looting all the crap that we just leave, like real garbage. It's not even like, it's not worth anything. Like they could rat in the belts. I don't understand it. But we get like 3 or 4 of these guys a week, and they're just non-stop targets that we're constantly popping. We get a lot of like rando, like the other day. So one thing that I love is the solo brawler. We got our asses dunked on by this guy. Let me find his name. I'll give him a full shout out here. Hold on. Let me pull up Ezekiel real quick for you. His name, I gotta check my losses here. Hold on, if I can find it.
Yeah,
he brought in a maelstrom.
Real quick while you're looking that up, you know, the looters, I see them all over the place. And the weirdest thing that I've been seeing in low sec recently is people in haulers warping to low sec, or warping to the faction warfare plexes to go loot some stuff. And I'm like, what the hell? Or what? You've got to be bait. You've got, and then all of a sudden it warped away because we were just about to. I'm like, okay, go for it. And it's like it warps away. I'm like, dang it! Like, but what the hell were you doing? Like, are you kidding me? What? Okay, well, and this we have had other weird things too, like explorers that warp to these faction warfare plexes, and I'm like, why? You're in a tier 1 noob ship, like explorer ship. Why are you here? I'm so confused.
Yeah. So the guy's name is Demolition Man, and we have Cosmic Cowboy of the purple helmeted warriors. This guy came in Maelstrom with no prop mod, triple shield reps. My guys were trying to kill this guy for a straight minute. They couldn't break his tank. He pops one of our Shimus and 3 of our executors, and we're like, okay, we're done. We're just gonna warp off. We're finished. It's solo brawlers, guys, kind of like Sutonia. Basically, they'll be willing to put their dick on the line, and they'll take a funny risk. And it's fun to run into people like that. You'll get a chance to run into people like that. I got the other day I had we were camping on the gate, and I had eyes on one side and eyes on the opposite side, but I didn't have eyes on the system. We jump through to the other side. We catch this Hurricane Fleet issue. What's it called? We catch this Hurricane Fleet issue. Sorry.
Nope, that's fine.
So we catch this Hurricane Fleet issue, and as we're warping out, we get picked by this random guy that came up from behind us in our previous system, was just sitting there in a cloak. He just points all three of us. So now we lost the Devoter, we lost an Onyx, and we lost the fucking Executor. We run into little scuffles like that all the time. So
yep,
it's
very interesting. I just had that happen with I want to say it was a typhoon that went around and just started popping the living crap out of us, and just like, and we had like local pirates that were trying to catch them too, and so it was just like this mad, crazy dash of what you were talking about, completely uncoordinated, like 7 people that were all completely uncoordinated against 2 people that were very coordinated and knew exactly what they were doing. And we were just getting our asses handed to us, and we're just like, whatever.
Yeah. You want to start losing ships and like that, so it becomes a thing. Another, let's see, crazy instance. We don't really run into too many blobs these days, but I tried. The other day I had a obvious blobs try and engage us, and I just warped my apocalypse to him straight away. I bumped him onto the gate. I wanted him to drop so bad, because I was just sitting there with smart bombs, and I was like practically like getting high off of the thought of him pulling in like 50 mana cores. I was just dying, just begging him to do it, like begging him, but he never pulled the trigger. It was very disappointing. I was shooting him with the drones and everything. I couldn't get him to do it. I wanted him so badly. So what else did we lose? We had an instance where like 5 guys came over the other day, and they're just camping the gate right before ours. They just power play. So like, we're getting ready, me and my buddy, we're like, okay, you know what, we're gonna have to drop like probably our dreads or something. We need to show some overwhelming force so these guys know not to mess with us. And as we're talking up the game plan, one of our idiot friends is just running in there with double the shags and just starts attacking both of them, and like 3 of them warp away. They just scatter like freaking like bugs. And we're like, well, we could have done that. I don't understand why we just sat here and talked for like 10 minutes getting a game plan ready, and like this idiot just charges in. It's very common. Like, you'll just have some very looks like it's filled with a lot of characters, is all I gotta say. Like, you get a lot of guys that are independent minded. I was about to say independent thinkers. That's what I prefer in my fleet. If I don't tell you to warp off, but you warp off, you know, that's okay with me. If you charge into battle, that's okay with me. But I am also okay with losing a lot more in low sec, to be honest. I just don't. For me, it's all about creating content. I do streaming as well a lot of times when I'm out playing around in low sec and Eve. So it's just about, you know, if I get blown up, well, at least people got some content. Yeah, it makes sense. Let me see. Oh, go on.
I was about to say, we're coming up a little bit, almost coming up pretty soon here on the hour, but before we kind of wrap things up, I wanted to make sure that I gave time to kind of let you lay down your whole platform that you're doing for CMS, you know, and let you kind of get a good little open mic about any kind of shout-outs or any kind of things that you want to kind of talk about as to why you think people should vote for you to be CMS.
Okay, so I'm not gonna like sugarcoat and say, you know, I've got all the answers and all the solutions, because quite frankly, I don't. When I'm asked a question about something I don't know, I will reach out to whatever community these changes might be affecting. If I don't know anything about wormholes, which to be quite frank, I do not, I will be very happy to put myself out there and communicate with these people. I've got a very similar set of mind to this thing that Brisk Ruble has, but in terms of like the changes that I do know and how they will affect people, I will do my best to keep these changes aligned with sub-capital fleets. I think a big part of the things I believe in is there's a guy pretty famous. His name's ProGod Legend. He's a leader of tests like FC. And what I like about him, and even Haiwantos, they recognize that sub-capital fleets, they're more interesting just in themselves. Like dreads and carriers, they don't add too much to the gameplay. They're big bricks that don't move, that don't maneuver, that don't do anything interesting. Whereas like, I think people want engaging fleets. I think people want to be moving around their transversal velocity and aligning this way and warping that way and catching this guy and doing fast flybys and doing quick guerrilla tactics. And I think people want their actions in a fleet to matter. And to the best of my abilities, I will push for changes and suggest changes that'll make people as a whole, in like smaller groups and in bigger groups, matter more than just being a big target for people to hit back and forth. I don't think the current meta with the caps is a good one. And I'm very, it's very antithetical to my view. I get people like playing with caps, but I just don't think it's very interesting. I don't think there's nothing. I don't think it's healthy for the game long term to be focused on capital encounters. I think the health of the game is reliant on a healthy faction warfare, a healthy war deck system, a healthy engagement of fighting between players. And I think we're not going to get that until like people feel like they have an impact in fleets, in smaller ships. No one likes losing all their ships to a bunch of fighters. No one likes every fight being a bunch of Kiki-Moras having to defang supers, and then, oh well, they still have more dreads, so we're going to lose. Or every fight you have to bring 100 people for like one carrier. I don't think that's fun. I don't think that's engaging. So I think, like, not just for low sec, but just for the entire like game as a whole, there needs to be reforms for new player experience, there needs to be reforms for low sec experience, and there needs to be reforms for the health of the game, and I would do my best to push for those. That's about it. That's all I got. I'm happy to take some questions if we got any.
Yeah, so one of my questions would be in regards to low sec, when it comes to the way that kind of the Triglavian stuff is kind of going on right now. Is there any kind of thoughts or ideas that you have about how you think that space should be altered? If like how they should shut down gates and stuff like that? Do you think they should be using the Triglavians, or is there any other kind of ideas that you kind of have? Just, you know, flights of fantasy of how you think that they should alter the landscape of low sec? Because that was one of you were talking about, of like changing up the landscape of low sec.
Yeah, well, not just low sec. I mean, null sec too. I mean, there are some regions in null that are just effed, man. I mean, nobody goes there, nobody wants to go there, and it's impossible to get there. I would love to see like random pipelines that can lead like a little solitude, or like a reverse solitude. So solitude's only got an entrance through low and null sec. I think it would be interesting if there's a high sec like patchwork of areas, or low sec patchwork of areas in null, like a surrounded bulwark of like these Concord guys that got left behind by their group or whatever, or Edencom guys that took over a system but can't keep it reinforced. They were just surrounded by these surrounding like NPC like factions, and it'd be interesting if you had these areas have like a pocket of different space, so that people that want to kind of like wheeze their way into these areas, like slowly dip their way into these areas, have like a feeling of like, I can live here. Or, you know, you can also do things that are like interesting, like have like another hub for the Garista. So like maybe you get your Garista standings to like 10 or whatever, and now you can live in Garista high sec space up in the Garista area or something like that. Oh, wow. Have like a really interesting dichotomy of ideas. Like you could, they can do a lot of things. They have endless opportunities to do very interesting things. So it would be really cool to have some more like different variety of ideas and things, like a variety of systems for people to go to. I would love to see a random patchwork of null sec in the middle of known space, just like what happened here. Well, these two systems are null because these gang of pirates took over this place and now it belongs to them, and we've not been able to apprehend these guys. And you know, all of a sudden you got like a weird pipeline that has like null sec bubbles in it, and it's constantly being fought over because it's such a prime real estate area. Like, I think that would be an interesting way to add more to the game than take away. And you know, overall, I want to see space traveled more. I want to see more ships in space.
So we do have a question.
One thing the indie.
We do have a question real quick from chat. Battle Troll 484 asks about should there be a partial limits to low sec access of capital ships? So should there be partial limitations to low sec access for capital ships?
Yes, I understand what this question is. So I fully support the idea of defanging supers in low sec. Allow them to jump, allow them to travel, but if you can't make this ship without sovereignty, I don't think you should be able to use it without sovereignty. Like, maybe not to that effect, but like, you shouldn't be able to use this ship in Empire space if you can't make the ship in Empire space. It seems like a it shouldn't even be argued about. Like, it seems a simple thing. But like, it's more to the point, I think LoSec has suffered for a great deal, like a lack of autonomy because of these groups. LoSec is often at the tail end, especially non-faction warfare LoSec. It's at the tail end of a lot of entrances to nullsec, and those nullsec entities can easily harass you. If they had to travel and bring like 100 subcap fleets to come and attack you because you're not letting their little citadel live over there, I think they would be far less likely to do it and far less likely to care about it than when they can just sino in 4 or 5 jumps away, bring in a fleet of supers, and just put you in your place. Like, they can easily control the autonomy of LoSec and pirates in general, and I think it's done a disservice to the game. Same thing for like Snuffed. I think if you make supers less relevant in LoSec, you will see LoSec thrive in a way that it hasn't thrived in maybe a decade, I think. So I'm firmly in the camp of that. I think the lowest, like, that, I think I would be on the fence about dreads, because they are like, they do add some gameplay. They're relevant for like bashing of citadels and stuff like that, and bashing of keep stars. And they can really get messed up by the anti-capital fortresses and stuff like that.
Right, and they already are stuck in
I don't
space,
know.
not moving, you know, for 5 minutes just to get their weapons up and going anyways. So
exactly. But I don't know. I still think I would prefer LoSec to be primarily subcaps, because I think that is the healthiest thing for the game as a whole. I think you want more people feeling powerful in subcap fleets than you do wanting them to feel like a god in capital fleets, because very few people can get in caps. It's 100 days of training minimum. It's not easy. It's very big barriers with very little payoff.
So I guess a little kind of close to that, kind of, because it reminds me of how do you feel about the changes that are coming with the NPCs introducing of capitals into NPCs? It seems like the what is it, the EOM or something like that. There's some changes that they're bringing where they're going to be doing sinos, that like covert sinos that NPCs and CCP, basically devs and GMs can use in order to bring more capitals. And they just had that recent capital battle over
Flowswin.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Flowswin, Flosewin, the system over there.
Yeah, there was like NPC dreads that were shooting at the planet, and
I went over there yesterday. I showed it to my girlfriend because she likes the lore and stuff. I was like, look at all these people, and I showed her like a bunch of like people sitting there. I'm like, I'm gonna come back and kill these guys later. And as I said that, somebody smart bombs me, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. I guess someone's already on this mission. I guess I'm dunked. It was very funny. But it was really interesting. I like that they did that event. I did not know that the lore events happen in game. That was really cool to see. And I think a lot of people, there was like 100 or 200 people in the system. I think that was a really unique experience. Most of the people weren't shooting at each other, but there's still, you know, there's a couple pirates there. I mean, there's people there. So it's always like really cool to just see something that's like everybody can see and like watch and experience. I like that a lot. The dreads on NPCs, I don't know, but I remember there was an event 2 years ago in like LoSec where it was like you would warp to this like location and you would have to kill like a bunch of random subcaps, but in the middle of doing that there was a giant freaking dread NPC, and it was like, what am I gonna do here? Like, it was perfect tracking, and it's like, what are you guys expecting is possible like in this range? Like, I think they really gotta be careful with the way they're making some of these events. I don't think they're thinking about like I think they need to be careful with the events, because there's one event that I loved that they did where it was like you would have to mine these exclusive minerals, and when you mined them you would have to reprocess them to make the cerebral boosters. And I thought that was such a great way to get new money for new players. I was really disappointed when they didn't continue that kind of a like style of giving these boosters out. I would really like to see them do that BPC style again, because I thought it was an excellent way to get new players to get the ability to make some money. And I think more ways of getting new players money is like the best thing that we can be doing for the game in terms of long term. I think you really want to make it much more accessible for people, not feel so daunting.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I do have to say I do like a lot about faction warfare, is that I can get a day-old newbie into faction warfare and actually getting them making quite a bit of ISK right off the bat.
Well, you can, but they have to have some, right? For the loyalty points, right? Like you have to be able to spend some to make money.
To a certain degree, but once you get yourself going, it's pretty much to get one BPC of like a comet, you need like a 2 million or a million or something like that, and then you can sell that BPC and you get millions of ISK off.
Yeah. It's just like a side point, like I remember I did the loyalty points with Sister of Eve's.
But
there's
the
like
other
there's a
thing,
little steep climb up.
Is that faction warfare is only good along that kind of lines if you have somebody to teach you. Because it's really hard for a day-old noob to jump in and know that faction warfare is where they can make some money or how to make money off of faction warfare. But when you join up with a group that knows what they're doing, it's really easy to kind of make that money. But that's kind of a lot of EVE, is making money in the beginning is really hard to know. But I think that it would be nice if CCP really did give players the tools that they needed to understand where to make real money in this game. Instead of thinking that a million ISK is a lot of ISK in the game, players should be pointed towards what opportunities are going to actually make them money moving forward.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with you completely, man.
So we are getting to about wrap-up time here. Is there any shout-outs that you want to give before we kind of wrap things up here? Or any projects that you're currently working on? Or do you have like a website that we can go to and check out what your platform is like?
No, I just have the forum post. I've thought about making a website, but it's it's a bit much. I don't even know how well I'm gonna do. I'm hoping to just really at this point, I would love to win. But if I don't, I would like to at least be able to build up enough influence to maybe get a solid grounding for the next election as well. Just kind of get my name out there is really the main goal. But I would really love to be able to help with a lot of these issues. And I think I have a lot of different things to offer people. And I think I have a lot of things that are kind of, a big part of this game is like, dude, I'm 30 years old. Okay, I get home, I get 4 or 5 hours to play. I'm not going to spend that time just organizing for fleets or spend that time just looking for content. I think I am the prototypical average player. I think an average player would like, just gate camps and just hopes for the best and just shoots what he can, can't do a lot. So I think I kind of give a perspective that a lot of people share, and I think a lot of people will find relatable. So hopefully that brings me some success. We'll see how much after these talks maybe it gets a little bit of a buzz going. But in either case, I'm grateful to any of the support that I receive from anybody, and I appreciate anyone's votes. I really do. It means a lot to me, and I'm just happy for the opportunity to be able to serve everybody.
Yeah, your platform definitely lines up with a lot of what I'm interested in, so that's definitely a big boon right there. And I know that the tiered voting system that they have, or the ranked choice voting system, allows for people to kind of get into the battlegrounds that normally you wouldn't think of necessarily as putting up as your #1 vote. And since I don't need to vote for just one person, I definitely am seeing you pretty high on my list because of what you're advocating for. If you were advocating a little bit more for faction warfare, I'd love you a little bit more. But it's completely understandable that you don't understand if you're not involved in it. Yeah. Then that's not your cup of tea, and that's 100% respectable as well. It's just a personal. I just love faction warfare, what it brought into the game, and the more love that it could get is all that. As long as it's respected, that's to a certain degree, it would be awesome if it got.
Believe me, if I get elected and then they ask me about faction warfare, you will see me very quickly be scrambling and trying to find some people to help me build a model that they think is good, because all I've done, I played faction warfare when you just sat there AFK in a venture at the Plexus. That's all I know is like, oh, make some crappy money, make some quick money. That's all I saw faction warfare as, and I think that's a tragedy, really. Like that was like the best play. In my mind, if I had like just some simple faction warfare fix, I would think it would be interesting. Like the most interesting thing to me about faction warfare is that you can kill people in high sec. I think that's interesting. I think you can go around and you're at war with the other people and you can come to their space and fuck with them. I think that's fucking cool. So I would like to see more focus on that.
I've talked to a couple of people about this, and one of the things that I think would really help out faction warfare is two main things. One is take away the whole thing where you have to be part of an alliance. The alliance, the corporate, you know, the highest tier of whatever the organization that you're in has to be, it's all in or not. Should be an individual. It should be like, I'm part of faction warfare, and I'll take the problems that come with that. But it should. One of my wonders is whether that's a coding problem or not. But I think that it would really open up faction warfare if people could just raise their hand all around the galaxy and say, I will fight for the Galente, or I will fight for
this,
the Caldari.
this faction.
And then the second thing is just open up HiSec. Just
as long as make you don't have make those systems like HiSec, and make those guys like you should be able to go to their space, right, and fucking kill them in their space. Like you're going.
You shouldn't have the faction police on you unless there's a -5 that you have to your sex status.
No,
like
I agree.
And I think they should really get rid of some of that stuff too, because that's just outdated old concepts.
That's just my basic outlining, and maybe there's some pro guys that are like, hey, fuck you, what are you don't know it. So like, listen, I don't know my shit. Yeah, exactly. So if they ever ask me, I'm not going to give my opinion. I'm going to come to those guys, and I want to get their opinions first, because they're going to know more than me.
That's the way to do it. So but yeah, thank you so much for coming on here. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Before I do, is there any shout outs that you want to give?
Not in particular, just thank you guys all for your time, and thank you guys for your votes if you give me them. I appreciate it all the while.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Isaac, and everyone go ahead and definitely check out our new website, theageofstories.com. You can find links that we'll be putting in there. I'll put in your forum post for CSM in there as well. We have other projects that we're working on as well, links to friends of the show, quite a bit that we have on over there at theageofstories.com. Thank you all for watching, and have a great night, everyone.
Nice. Thank you, man.
Awesome.